I want to talk about something that I think can easily get overlooked when we're doing healing work and growth work. One of the things that tends to be quite common when you enter the stream of self-awareness and you could say just looking at your own stuff is that it can get quite heavy, and for good reason. When you start trying to even just do the work of being in the present moment, you have to remember that everything that has preceded this moment becomes the platform that you're standing on when being present. And so there's a certain vulnerability to presence. You're opening yourself up. There's like a nakedness to just receiving what is here. And often when what can come up in that space is stuff that has been lingering in the background that hasn't had the opportunity to be processed. And that's why you'll see on my Instagram page or any of my events, there's a really big emphasis on building the internal container that can meet and hold the difficult things that have happened through your life or have been stored in the mind and the body in such a way that they can be touched but simultaneously integrated. And if you're just feeling pain for the sake of feeling pain, there's nothing really healing about that. You might get like a momentary catharsis, but it can actually just reinforce the rumination around the pain, and then also just a sense of being stuck in it. But even when you are doing that kind of healing work from a place of attunement, groundedness, presence, and where you are connected to your internal resources to meet younger aspects of yourself, that work can still feel heavy. And it can keep us just, how would I describe it? It's not quite a survival mode, but it's just like, whew, there's a lot to work through. And each time you descend into something new within yourself, it's like there are new doors into other things. And it can just feel like this hall of mirrors of suffering, but also endless things that need to be healed. I'm the first person to say, like, I really like that hall of mirrors, because there is always some joy and openness and expansion on the other side of it. So I really love spending time there. And the thing that I think gets missed that I want to touch on here is simultaneously, or taking dedicated periods of time outside of that like deeper, heavier shadow type work, to actually remember and cultivate relaxation, positive emotions, what it's like to feel good, to be in a place of creativity, imagination, playfulness. I've seen for myself that I sometimes associate those states to a reward for doing certain healing or growth work, or even just accomplishing something. Maybe you've had your own experience with that. And when you're doing deeper work, especially trauma type work as well, it can feel like, okay, I earned that. Even if you're not putting that language on it, like I will earn those states. I'll get to those states after I do this, after I meet this pain, after I process this thing, after I've gone through this forgiveness. And I really want to caution against that, of kind of taking the endpoint reward and viewing it as something in the future that you get when you've done all of these things in between. And instead, even as Alan Cohen said, don't postpone joy. Like bring it in here. Like let it be the process, the thing that you're cultivating in real time. And that's good for a number of reasons, not just purely because it feels good to feel good, but it reminds us why we're doing certain work in the first place. Positive emotions give us energy. Barbara Fredrickson does a lot of this work out of UNC Chapel Hill studying positive emotions, and they have an evolutionary function to cause us to play, to want to create, to broaden our perspective and our awareness of what's going on around us, and therefore we try new things and then we build. She calls it the broaden and build theory. So we're like broadening our, almost like an energetic sense of like what's around us, rather than this fear-based state of more withdrawal. And then from that place, we're developing relationships, we're trying new things, we're building skill sets and capacities, and we develop this upward spiral. And that doesn't mean that we, just do that and then bypass these like anchor points of unhealed things within us that anyone who's maybe tried to grow without doing some of that healing work has come across these points where it's like, oh, some good things start to happen and then I self-sabotage. So it's really important to see what the emergency brakes of the nervous system are that are subconsciously keeping us anchored to old ways of being. So it's not to bypass that, but without simultaneously doing that work, we can get into places of low energy. We can get into places of feeling like I'm just going to be here forever. We can lose a sense of inspiration for why we're doing this in the first place. And we might lose the anchors that we need to come back to when the stuff gets really hard. This is really important in trauma work as well. Learning to actually reconnect to pleasure and relaxation and groundedness in your system before even going into the more complicated territory. Because if you don't do that, if you don't have a home base that you can come back to, that's really when we can get like lost and quite circular with patterns of suffering. So main takeaway here is as you look at your growth journey, your healing journey, just assess for yourself, are you, like if we put a garden metaphor on it, are you constantly just looking for the weeds that you can pull out? And if so, can you also be looking for what are new flowers that I can create and cultivate, or plants that will bear fruit? And what would it be like to spend more time watering those and giving them sunshine, rather than just always looking for, oh, weed there, pull it out. What do I have to do to pull it out? It's like, oh, I'm going to have to get this sort of fertilizer or, okay, that's not the right, don't use fertilizer to pull out a weed. But I'm going to need these sorts of tools. And so you just like can easily get caught in, it's like if all you have is a hammer, everything you see is a nail. And assess that for yourself. Are you more of a weed puller, or are you more of a cultivator of what you want to grow? And remember, both are important to a flourishing garden. This weekend, you might have heard me talking about, I'm doing just a one-day retreat, online retreat. And it's specifically focused on restoration, relaxation, rejuvenation, and cultivating more of those positive emotions as an anchor. So a lot of my retreats go into the heavy stuff, and that's why they can be quite powerful for people. This one, since it's the summer, at least here in the West, I'm going to keep it lighter, more restorative, and really focus on when we're leaving that feeling uplifted, more confident, more connected to our strengths, and restored, so that we can continue doing everything we're looking forward to this summer, and also anything that is heavy for us in this moment. So I'd love to have you there if you haven't yet checked it out or signed up. You can find all the details at the link in my bio. If you're watching this live right now, I'll also put the link in the chat that you can check on. All the details and the schedule for it you can find there. And also remember that these are fully recorded. So if it's, you're just hearing about it now, but it's last minute for you, you can still sign up and then watch the recordings at your own time, whether it's a week from now or a year from now, and you have access to it forever, including all of the bonus resources, and there's a lot there. So at the very least, check out the webpage, give it a read, see if it resonates for you, and if so, would love for you to get to experience it. Thanks for all the comments that have come through here. I do hope to see some of you this weekend, and thanks for giving me some of your time and presence for the last few minutes. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Take care.